Right, well, we've got no cameras. Oh, we've got cameras now. Well, it's another Midland 77104, but this time it's the 104 UK, not the DUK, which everybody says is the better version. So I'm sure they're right. But it's got a really strange fault, he says. The display's flickering, and I'm thinking, well, how can it? Because it's not generated by a chip. Because it has a real channel selector, a BCD channel selector. So we'll switch it on. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's a dirty switch. That's all that it is. It's not actually flickering. It's just that they're not always making contact. So to be honest, it just needs some use. Unless there's a bar out on that 20. So really, they're a sealed thing, those channel selector switches. We'll go through it first. May as well. And I'll try not to. I'll put the picture in picture. I did put the picture in picture on yesterday. It's showing on the monitor, and then when I came back to it, you did get picture in picture because I switched everything back on again. I did that last one over 2 days. So let's have a look at this. We'll use my mic I borrowed off another set. We'll put it on channel 20. Hello, it's not on anymore. And I don't know which way that is. I think that's probably the right way for the low power switch. Still not on. Now it is. Right, so we will switch. Tell you what, we'll plug the test equipment in. Hopefully this one hasn't got dry joints. Good. Certainly receiving. Volume control's very dirty. What does he say? Have to turn volume up nearly full before sound comes through speaker. Yeah, dirty volume control. Let's hope it isn't a knackered volume control. So are we on low power? We're on, I hope we are at that level. Yes. It's doing 3.5 watts on channel 20. And it's doing 3.4 watts on channel 40, and it's doing 3.4 watts on channel 1. Low power, back to channel 20, is doing 500 milliwatts, 520 milliwatts, so it must be adjustable on this version. And on low power, on high power, it's drawing 1.029 amps. Deviation, wallow, when I'm in the right range, Wallow. Let's reset this in case I've got it in the wrong one. Wallow. It's very low. Wallow. 1.5 kilohertz. We won't be doing the VCO. The frequency, which we'll take with a pinch of salt because I only put the test set on 10 minutes ago. But we'll have an idea where it is. Oh, it isn't far out of 12 at all. 27,79101. Receive. Let's just make sure the receiver matches that. It does actually. Just get that a bit closer so we've got accurate, and I'm making sure I'm in EMF mode. Yep. And I'm making sure I'm in ×1 because I don't want the shenanigans last time, like I did write down all the wrong ones. Now this is much more sensitive. Let's get that turned down. Now I'll deal with the squelch. So, most sensitive, put this onto the attenuator. We've got it on standby. Set threshold on the radio. Switch the signal generator back on. 0.28 microvolts, and then full squelch on the radio and on the signal generator. 1, 3, 10, 30, 100, 300, 1 to 3 millivolts, which is too much. So it's reading 4 into the meter. The other meter was set right. You know, when we did the on-the-air test, there was soon no lights. You're supposed to set S9. This one reads even worse. This reads 75 microvolts. That's working. That's working. Sorry, that's working. That's working, that's not there. Right. I'll open it up. So people naughtily say D stands for the deaf version. In the case of this customer, that would be the case. So there's your channel selector. We can check for dry joints underneath. But it is a sealed unit. Now, you know, if you're absolutely desperate, you could carefully drill holes in it and put switch cleaner in. And I might do that if it was some base station. You've got no shield plate in this one. So we'll just check the soldering round the channel selector switch just in case. I'll tell you what, we'll actually go through all of the soldering just there. I'm not even doing the right thing on the volume control here. I've not known this model to be really prone to dry joints, but I'm just going through it anyway. Right, let's switch it back on. So there's a bar out on the display. So we're going to need to get a switch cleaner with a spout. None of these have got a spout on here. I'll just try and get some in the meantime. I might have to change the control, you see. So which one is it, the front or the back? It feels broken, to be honest. I'll start on the transmitter, and we'll see if I've got a scrap chassis with a replacement controller. I won't be able to get a new one. And I think as for the display, well, he's going to have to live with the bar being out. To start changing that, we've got to take the front board from the main board, and the tracks on these printed circuit boards are flimsy to say the least. So I see so many of these where that's been attempted and they've ended up ripped off. So start with transmitter. Put the right screen on. See if we can get the power up from 3.5 watts. Now then, I wish I'd got the notes with me. 1, 2, 3. I think we're there. I'll just see if that is one of them. Yeah. So start there. We're still at 3.5. I don't think there'll be a power control on this set, whereas the later one there is. It's 3.8. And that's now 4. We'll just check he's on the other channels. So channel 40, 3.9. Channel 1, 4.05. Now I've had this query before. We can balance this better. Let's just see if we can. I don't normally bother if it's 0.1, but someone's got a unit and it's miles out. So this one, we'll turn it which way? Turn it slightly down so that it's spot on the 4. No, I think we're doing this the wrong way around. Let's turn this upwards so it starts to just come down. So that's now 3.95, and now we'll adjust this for 4. So now we'll go back to channel 20, spot on 4, and now we'll go to channel 1, it's spot on 4. So I've dropped the power on the previous one in the opposite direction to where I was going. So I've tuned it, in this case, upwards for peak. We're going upwards. And now I've gone beyond it, so it's now slightly off tune. Then we've tuned it with this. So that can be, I won't say a trick, because it's just part of the skill, isn't it? But normally if it's within 0.1 it doesn't matter. I know somebody put a comment on a unit end, it was 2 watts difference. And it's those last 2 coils. So it's now 4 watts, 4 watts, 4 watts. And it's now drawing 1.053, and low power is going to need adjusting. I expect it's that preset there without looking at the notes. It is, and there we are, 400 milliwatts. I think that's meter. I'd expect deviation to be there. I'll get the notes anyway. But first of all, I've got to see if I've got a scrap chassis, and the trouble is, by the time I come to buy them, they've usually had all that kind of stuff robbed off them. Right, original scan of instruction book with, like they did in those days when Maxon were making the stuff, had a squelch diagram. This has also been to visit Mr. Chippie, so this, I should say, 4 hours later. So let's just see, because these sets have got real power adjustment, unlike modern sets. So 103 is transmit, 102 is receive. So transmit, I've forgotten it already. "103 is transmit, 102 is receive." Oh, well, I've done it on the wrong side, haven't I? So it was 101 and 105. One's squelch and one's deviation. So it's that which is the one I was pondering over. So 105 is going to be deviation. And 101 is squelch. Well, that figures. Squelch is there, and I've already seen deviation there. That was my biggest thing about this. Wanted to set the meter. Well, what this has been to see Mr. Chippie. He's replaced the on-off volume control, and we've got a scrap model after this, the D version. That's come off one of those. It fits, but it's just slightly different. You wouldn't be. I don't think you could put it the other way around, but you can this way around. Channel selector switch off a scrap one of these, and it was just a board with a hole in it. So, you know, we just bought no chassis, just a board, and there was still the channel selector. So we're going to hope that that's cured all the faults, because they would probably be scrapped because they'd been screwdrivered. I noticed two of the scrap chassis are the CPT versions. I have got one. I know I bought two, so I've got one somewhere. I don't think I sold either, so I should have two. So we'll get it connected back up, and we should be able to breeze through the rest of this. Now that won't fix the missing segment, I wouldn't think, on the display. There's nothing we can do about that. We've looked up the LED and I can't even find an equivalent part, so well, the good news is it's lit up with saying 40. Better put this knob back on. and we'd better align this to say 9. Just like that. That's not the right knob, is it? You know what? It has brought back the missing digit. Well, I'll go to the foot of our stairs. Ah, well. Wasted my time looking at that display chip. Give Mr. Chippie a carrot. Well, that was a cheap fix. Just nearly an hour of Mr. Chippie's time and 2 second-hand parts. Okay. Tell you what we'll do, we'll put it on frequency. Now everything's been on for about 5 hours. You know what? I'm not going to alter it. Trimmers there, not touching it. Revise that to what it really is. Fantastic. So we want to set the TX meter. So full set of lights. We need to put it to low power and set it for 1. Look at that. I don't need to set anything because it's exactly where it should be. But just to prove it, we've said the lower one is TX, and it is. You always set that on low power for 1 bar, into a dummy load of course. Deviation, very, very low, wasn't it? Wallow, wallow, wallow. Yes. Wallow. Wallow. Perfect. So it's 2.2 average with absolute maximum of 2.5. So that's still 4, which is correct. Da-di-da-di-da. Good. So the customer's very lucky because we've got 1 switch, we've got 1 control from different sets. That's it, no more. Probably charge him £1 each for those. What do you reckon? We'll move on to the receiver. So now we'll set the receive to 27.79125. We'd set it low before to test the receiver. As the signal generator's warmed up, the radio turns out to be right. Good. They're nice sets, these, and I know it's mean of me to say so, but they are nicer than the later version which we did yesterday, belonging to the same customer. New improved, you see. New cheaper. Okay, let's have a look where we are with this detector. I think we'll do that next. I expect it's that one without looking at the circuit diagram. Put the oscilloscope on. Put a meaningful. What a lovely volume control. I bet the 770-104D was so pleased to give its volume control to its previous brother. Little tiny bit of adjustment there. So that's always a good news move. Let's go over to the cyanide meter and get ourselves to 4 dB. Let's see if we can get a few more yards range out of this. Well, tiny bit of adjustment. That was already spot on. That was already spot on. I think that's it. I'll just check with the circuit and turn the volume down while I do so. So I've done L 101, 102, 106. No. Could be 104, couldn't it? I don't know. 101, 102. I haven't done 103. That looks like 106. One, 2 and 3 is correct. 108, I bet it was 108 then. And I'm expecting 103s in the VCO. No, if that's 103 there in the wax department, then that needs adjusting. Yeah, it does. What's he got wax in it for? Yeah, it makes it, but it was already spot on. So I don't think we're going to see much of a difference, if any, to where we were before. So let's look where we are for 12 dB. There's 12 dB. So it's 0. I'll tell you what, it's actually worse that. Let's put the lid on. And I haven't misread it this time. I'm going to run through it again. do that with the bigger signal. Right, see where we are now. Well, there's absolutely no improvement. So as you can see, it's 0.85. Let's go to the attenuator control so you can actually see. 10. Not 0.7. I'd have thought there would be a tiny difference, but there is none. Have we improved 20? No. Exactly the same. Oh well. It's more sensitive than the other one, but the other one were absolutely great. Absolutely. Very nice. I've been listening to 19. If you can say it was nice listening to 19, but every word was perfect. It was coming over from the Burner Brigade at Nottingham, so it might have looked not so hot on the test set, but it worked very well in practice. I'm going to see where this hears down to, because the other was about 0.3 of a microvolt. But I'll tell you what, we'll do that now. So I'll put the other tone on. So that's 3 microvolts, 1 microvolt. 0.3 microvolts. That's as far as we could hear on the other one, the 104D. 0.25, 0.2. About 0.15. It definitely works better. This has more parts in it, whereas the D version has got a chip in it instead. And there's a precautionary item. Yesterday I even changed the filter. I didn't charge for that, and we've recovered the one out, you know, so there was no change. Right, squelch. Now it was on full squelch, it wasn't opening, was it? So will that detector thing have resolved that problem? No. So squelch, back to my destructions. So it's that one. We'll go back to normal tone as well. Yep, that's now 100 microvolts. Let's see where it is at the other end. So we'll put the signal generator to standby, turn the squelch down, set the threshold, put the signal generator back on at 0.3 of a microvolt, straight in. That was set too sensitively. Let's try again. It's 0.3. It's very good hysteresis on this. That's the way it tracks. So once it's locked onto the signal effectively, it tracks it very well. It won't be chopping around scratchy corner. Good. That just leaves us with the S meter to do. I just hope it reads more sensibly than yesterday's. So 100 microvolts on the signal generator. So obviously that does need setting because we only got S5 showing. I've already forgotten where we are. It's the lower one. So we'll just do that. So the idea is, it's just on the verge of being plus 30. So we could have it on the verge of being 5, but we want it on the verge of being plus 30. And this is exactly how I set the other one yesterday. But this does seem to respond better. So the verdict's finally in after 30 odd years of these sets that the 104 ordinary version is better than the D version, in my humble opinion as a service engineer. Right, we'll put it back together. Put the squeaker back on. This is a nice set. And I said yesterday's worked fine on the test, but this works nicely on the test equipment. And when you have a pile of sets that won't do better than 1 microvolt, set after set after set, you know, you start to think, the test set gone out of calibration? And then you put the reference Rotel RVC230 we have on just to make sure, and no, it's all hunky-dory. And then you get this in, and it performs really well. So we're really looking after the customer on this, because we've done work which is well beyond the call of duty, and as that plus, he's ended up with the display actually working on all segments. So either that was a dry joint, which I didn't spot, or it was such a dirty wafer within the channel switch that the display wasn't lighting. But I wouldn't have expected that, and I would have gone straight for changing that display had we had one available. Changing the display not only has the cost of the part, but it's a matter of taking the front panel board off, and there is that danger of the print coming off the board because they're so, should I say lousy? That's the word. There, I've said it. So a very satisfactory result for that, and for a gentleman whose name is Richard as well. From Harrogate. He probably owns Betty's Tea Rooms. When we were at Compass Communications, it was on premises on Harrogate Road at Bradford. So, about 16 miles away. Right, let's see what we've got. 1 nano, Roger. Now, there's absolutely, it's just gone 5 o'clock, it's about 20 past 5. So, have they all been called in for their tea by the mummies? Absolutely nothing. Now, you wouldn't have believed that. I'm going to put it now onto the extension speaker. No, I'm not, because we'll do the scratchy corner test, and we like to start it off on the... Oh, somebody's copy. That was a good voice, wasn't it? Right, well, thank you, Mr. Chippie. And we'll do an on-the-air test later on. Thanks to you, the viewers, for watching.